Good afternoon, Gettysburg. My name is Daniel Stoner. Welcome back to the Warrior W.I.RE. How y'all doing today? Now, starting off, we have our sports scores for cross-country soccer, field hockey, volleyball, and football. So, starting off, boys varsity on Tuesday was Gettysburg 4-0. Special congratulations to Andrew Hernison for breaking the course record at Littlestown. Girls varsity also on Tuesday, Gettysburg 3-1. Soccer was boys varsity. Tuesday, Gettysburg 1-1, York Suburban. And Thursday was Gettysburg 5-2 against West York. Girls varsity on soccer was Tuesday for Gettysburg 3-0 against York Suburban. And Thursday was Gettysburg 8-0 to West York. Girls tennis was on Monday, Gettysburg 4-1 against Biglerville. Field hockey was girls varsity Monday, Gettysburg 2-1 against Fairfield. Wednesday, Gettysburg 0-4 against Bermudian Springs. Volleyball was girls varsity on Monday, Gettysburg 0-3 against DeLone Catholic, 3-0 on Kennerdale on Tuesday, and on Thursday, Gettysburg 0-3 against Susquehannock. For football was boys varsity football playing against West York this Friday, today. Also, if you have any videos or clips from some of the games, please feel free to share with us using the QR code found in the hallway doors. Now, moving on. We have a new segment for Warrior Walk-In. That's a shop here at Gettysburg. It's not like the school store. It's just for anything that you need. So let's go on to it. Homecoming is just around the corner, and the Warrior Walk-Ins got you covered. With fine dresses for the ladies and sharp suits for the guys, they'll have everything you need for homecoming and more. Alright, Warrior Walk-In is a very nice place. You should go check it out. It's not just for people in need, it's also for anybody here at the Gettysburg Area High School. Now moving on to one of our more classy segments here at Warrior W.I.RE, where it is Colin Arnold with This Week in History.
On This Week in History, we will look into the worst terrorist attack in world and American history. This is a day, a week, a month, and a year of honor, remembrance, and teaching. A date which will live in infamy is what President Franklin Roosevelt said about Pearl Harbor. At the time, the worst attack on America. The attack affected so many families and friends, killed so many people, made heroes, but showed the American spirit and unity. 60 years later, on September 11, 2001, a new generation would witness their own Pearl Harbor, their own date of infamy. It started as a regular day for most. Wake up, say goodbye, and go to work. It was at 8:46 a.m. on a sunny Tuesday when the world changed. American Airlines Flight 11 crashed into the North World Trade Center. People didn't know what happened. Was it a small jetliner, an accident, or an attack? Then at 9:03 a.m., United Airlines Flight 175 crashed into the South World Trade Center, confirming this was no accident. America was under attack. At 9:37 a.m., 230 miles away from the Twin Towers, American Airlines Flight 77 crashed into the Pentagon in Arlington, Virginia. At 9:56 a.m., the South Tower collapsed, 56 minutes after the impact of the plane. At 10:03 a.m., An hour after the second plane struck the South Tower, United Airlines Flight 93 crashed into a field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, after the passengers were able to take back control of the plane from the hijackers. It was believed it was headed to the Capitol Building or White House in Washington, D.C. Then at 10:28 a.m., the North Tower collapsed, 1 hour and 42 minutes after being struck by the plane. First responders saved hundreds of lives and risked their own. Regular people became national heroes. People of everyday life had to go through tasks and witness things that no human should see. At the end of the day, 2,996 Americans were killed. 343 firefighters died at the towers and 72 law enforcement officers. More than 90 countries lost citizens that day. But the death did not end that day. Hundreds of Americans every year die due to cancers and diseases due to 9/11. When the dust finally settled, there were more questions than answers. It was discovered that the terrorist group Al-Qaeda, led by Osama bin Laden, was behind the attacks. In an interview, President Bush stated, "The first plane I thought was a freak accident. The second, we were under attack. And the third was a declaration of war." President George W. Bush took to the television that night in an address to the nation. The American spirit became stronger, taller, and more colorful that day. But our patriotism and unity cannot just grow on days of tragedy. It must always remain strong, every day. And as the days, weeks, months, and years go by, we cannot let that fateful day perish. It is our duty and responsibility as American citizens to remember, honor, and teach the events, victims, and heroes of September 11th, 2001. For This Week in History, I'm Colin Arnold.
As we mourn the loss of thousands of our citizens. I can hear you! I can hear you, the rest of the world hears you, and the people who knocked these buildings down will hear all of us soon.
All right, thank you, Colin, very much. And also on the very serious topic of 9/11, we have several interviews from teachers and the principal alike. So let's go and talk to them a bit.
The morning of September 11th, for me, I was teaching at Walter Johnson High School in Bethesda, Maryland. We had started that morning. It was a beautiful, beautiful day, crystal clear day, nice cool fall morning, and the school had a fire drill that morning.
It was a different day from our regular day because our second daughter, who was in the 5th grade, had a routine doctor's visit. So I had gone to pick her up and took her to the doctor's appointment, and it was just kind of an average day. And then when we came out of the actual doctor's office and went back out front to leave, that's when I realized what had happened.
And Mr. Wampler was one of the assistant principals at the time. All the principals were knocking on teachers' doors and telling them what happened and telling us we could turn our TVs on to show the news to students, but to try and not encourage panic that we were going to stay here unless there was a danger close to Gettysburg. And then I remember a student of mine was very upset, and she had left to go to the bathroom and hadn't come back, so I went to check on her, and she was trying to call her sister who lived in New York City, and she couldn't get through, and she was very upset. And I gave her a hug and said, just have faith and we'll try and get through, and keep your phone out in case you get an answer.
But didn't quite understand. Then saw the second tower get hit. So we were already watching television to see the second tower. And I just remember that sinking feeling, because then it was known, like, oh, what is happening?
The time thinking a plane had hit the World Trade Center, it hadn't really registered. We thought about people on those floors that were affected, but I never gave thought that the World Trade Center could collapse.
And that's when I asked one of the ladies, and she said, "That's the second plane. We're under attack." And when they started talking, I was watching NBC News about it, and when they started talking about the different planes that were involved, that's when I realized that United Airlines had been involved, and my sister is a United Airlines flight attendant. So I immediately tried to call her, and of course, none of the cell phones worked. The system was just completely overloaded. So the day for me was one of a lot of panic. I couldn't get a hold of my sister. Our two older kids wanted to know if she was okay. I had been in contact on landlines with my parents because they were having the same problem. And I don't remember ever having a time in life where I was driving down the road, looking out the window at the sky, being worried, about what was going to happen.
And then the building started to come down, like that. That's literally how your emotions felt too. Like, I think people probably all over the country felt like they crumbled with those buildings a little bit. So the unknown was almost scarier than anything else, just because it just seemed to not. It went from bad to worse to even worse to like what's going to happen later today or even tomorrow. So that's obviously scary.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Deckert, Mr. Hardy, Mrs. Turner, and Mr. Lusk for that. It was very heartwarming to see you people helping out and showing your insight on what happened that day. And I would like to take a moment of silence to think about all the lives that were lost. Thank you so much for joining this episode of Warrior Wire. My name is Daniel Stoner, and you've been watching the Warrior Wire.